Well, hello, everyone. This is Wilson Cole, president of ELOC Global, Adams, Evans, and Ross, and Backdoor Hires. And I'm here with our lovely daughter, my lovely daughter, and lovely general counsel and attorney. Samantha, how are you doing?
I am well. How about yourself?
Oh, fine. It's the first of the year, and or it's almost the first of the year. We're closing out of the holidays, so I still have a little bit of holiday brain. And then I had one of Samantha's nephews spend the night last night. So if I seem to be exhausted, it's because he kicks in his sleep and he wanted to watch nothing but Lego movies. And so that went on way longer than it should have. But anyway, we are going to cover a subject that I think this was kind of timely. And typically I come up with the good ideas, but Samantha did have a really good idea. As she has.
Shocked you're giving me credit.
Oh yeah, I'm going to give you credit. Well, it's the end of the year, so whenever you say, yeah, I never get credit, I can say, well, remember that time. But kind of create the 5 things that you need to do now that it is the end of the year, kind of just to kind of do some house cleaning. And some of it's going to be from a legal perspective, some of it's going to be from a risk management standpoint, but it's all going to be centered around credit and collections. And the number one thing that I want you to do is I want you to go through and classify your accounts. The first thing is classify your accounts. And if they're, Fortune 500, if they're publicly traded, we're not going to talk about those. If you have mom and pops, these are closely held corporations, you're going to know which ones those are. I want you to go and recheck everybody's credit. I know you may have rechecked somebody's credit just 3 months ago on your credit applications, but I can assure you that there's many more that you haven't checked their credit in the last 10 years that they've done business with you in the last 12 months. I want you to go back, re-pull up credit, make sure that they're still a viable entity and that they have good credit. Another one thing that I want you to do is I want you to go back and make sure that you have the paperwork, that you have the signed agreement, that you have signed fee agreements if you're over on the recruiting side, you have engagement agreements or employment agreements if you're doing the staffing. Make sure that you have the paperwork. And the third thing that I want you to do is going to probably cost me more money than anything else is I want you to create a 3 sequential, whether it be email or mail or both, demand letters or reminders that, hey, we know you're a little bit behind. Our terms are 10 days. You're now 14 days. I want you to create one at 14, one at 25, and then one roughly at 35. And you're going to use these emails or these letters to just remind people to let them know that they're behind. Those are the 3 things that I want you to do. And in my opinion, that will eliminate 90% of your problems going into the next year. Samantha, from a legal aspect, what are the 2 things that you recommend our clients do right now?
I think double check, and this one's going to sound weird because contracts can still be valid even if they were signed by somebody that's no longer with the company. However, if you've got a personal guarantee that was signed by the CFO 3 CFOs ago, get a new one. Get updated contracts signed if everybody that you originally engaged with is no longer there. Especially if you're about to engage in a new search, if they called you up and it's been 5 years since they used you, get all new documentation done. And after that, make sure your contract's updated. Do some spring cleaning. Take out, add in, donate to Goodwill. I mean, you kind of go through and make sure that you've got everything in order so that you can hit the ground running this year.
Well, and that's something, if anybody checks these videos, if this is a video that was sent to you on a landing page, or if this is an article that our people have written based on one of our videos, go to our YouTube channel. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of free advice We can't give legal advice, even though Samantha's an attorney. She can't give legal advice because we're not a law firm. But I can tell you hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of best practices advice. And we cover contracts, what we like to see from a collection standpoint in those contracts. Go find the video and watch it. I mean, we could do another whole session on contracts, but here's the reality of it. Half of the contracts that we get in aren't signed, and half of them that we get in that are signed are really not that good. And I don't want to get too much on my soapbox, but if your agreement has, hey, if you don't sign this contract, you still agree to our terms by acceptance of it, you can leave that in there, but understand that that is a fallback position. That isn't a substitute for get the doggone thing signed. Because, using Sam's analogy of if you're going to marry somebody and you've got a prenuptial and you say, hey, by marrying me, you agree to the terms and conditions of this prenuptial, it would get kicked out of court. And I can tell you there's a lot of recruiters that think that they're covered with that one significant line in there. It's a great fallback position, but I can tell you it's not holding up as often as you think. You need to have a signed contract. Sam, any closing statements before we wrap up for the year and as we get ready for the start of our new year?
Yeah, I think it's more get into New Year mode and see how many voicemails I can hit before the end of the day since nobody's responding.
Well, I understand. Recap and then we'll wrap it up. Recheck their credit, confirm you have the paperwork, create a 3 email or letter sequential follow-up for your AR. Make sure that the people that signed your contracts are still working there. And if your contract needs updating, get it updated. Samantha, thanks for joining me on this. I'll let you jump back into your amazingly slow day over there, and I'll see you next Monday on our conference call.
Sounds good. Bye.